in order to hunt as hard on day 10 as you did on day 1, you've got to be prepared physically and mentally to overcome some of these limitations that you're going to run into. Most importantly, you guys, we are the visiting team. At any big game we're going to pursue. Hey, I don't care what you're we are the visiting team. This is where they live. This is where they grow up. This is where they survive. And we're expecting to go into their home and beat them at their game. And we do a really good job at it, surprisingly enough, but you're going to tip the scales by being in shape. So let's do something. Let's do man versus sheep. All right? I know it's kind of laughable, but what are sheep? Sheep live in the mountains, right? From the time they're born to the time they die, they're going to be in the mountains. They have superior eyesight. This is our opponent we're going after, okay? They have superior eyesight. What is it, 12 power, 20 power binoculars? I mean, these things can see coming forever. They have a superior sense of smell. They are always, you guys, they're always on alert, always. I mean, their whole life depends on them being on alert and recognizing threats and possible threats and knowing escape routes, those types of things. So they're going to know every escape route. Their only job is to avoid predators. Okay? Now let's look at man. We live in heated houses. We can go to the store for food, right? And most of us do. All right? So we have the comfort of a heated house. We can go to the store for food. We get water out of the faucet. You guys are getting the idea here. Sleep in bed. We have all these things that are basically piled against us. Now, outsider looking in, you're thinking, man doesn't stand a chance. There's just no way. I mean, look at the other things that man has. No daily threats. We're at the top of the food chain. We have inferior senses, and yeah, we're slow. Really slow, right? And here's the big one. Our time is limited. I think that maybe the biggest thing for man is our time is so limited. We have X amount of time to pursue this game. Somebody once told me that you can kill any animal you wanted, a specific animal, if you had enough time. If your time was unlimited, you could do it if you had the knowledge and the time. Okay, so how do we tip the scales in your favor? Okay, we're going against opponents that's obviously got superior, it's at home field, it's got all these superior qualities opposed to us. How are we going to tip the scales in our favor? There's a lot of things that we can do, and a lot of things we do. You're going to research the best areas to pursue these animals. Okay? If you're going after a brown bear or a dull sheep or a desert sheep, you're going to research the best areas, find out where the most success rates are. You're going to talk to people who maybe hunted the area, and it does sound familiar. You guys have probably done some of this. Study maps, success rates, find the best outfitters for the area, collect the necessary gear for the trip, coordinate as much time away as you can from your other obligations. Now look at all the time and energy and focus that you've put into this trip already. I mean, just those 5 things, that's a lot of effort and a lot of time. You make your travel arrangements to and from. You practice all the scenarios with your sportsman's firearm of choice. It's not a weapon, sportsman's firearm of choice. Okay? You're sporting firearm of choice. It's important that you pick a good rifle or bow or whatever you decide to shoot to in a tent, a pack. All those things are really important. But the bottom line, the factor that's going to depend on, that is going to give you the most advantage, is going to be you. All right? So that's something that I really want to drive home today, is it doesn't matter what your equipment looks like. It doesn't matter how much time you've put into it. It doesn't matter how much money you've put into it. Mother Nature doesn't care. Those sheep, those elk, those moose, those bears, they don't care. Okay? They don't care. The one thing that is going to matter is, are you able to physically and mentally hunt these animals down? So get in sheep shape. I grew up in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. Anybody know where that's at? All right. It's a small town in Idaho, just on the Canadian border. And from the time I can remember, all the elk hunters and deer hunters around there have always been using the term sheep shape. If you get sheep shape for elk hunting, you'll be good. And so we're using the term sheep shape because it obviously fits this convention. But that's something that I've been hearing my whole life. That is what is it? It's the ability to overcome and take on any knowable or unknowable variables that may present themselves in any given hunt. There's very few knowable factors that you have going into a hunt. Even food needed, you know how much food you're going to need. Okay, you better know where some water sources are or how you're going to get some water throughout the hunt. You're going to know your area. On that note, when we got dropped in Alaska for our adult sheep hunt, we sat in camp for 5 days waiting for the weather to clear in the Brooks Mountain Range where we were going to get dropped. We finally said, we don't care where we get dropped, just drop us somewhere. And so they handed us a map, and we went in there and we hunted. So that's even really, things change, plans change. And in the beginning, when you're packed, you're going to know what that is. You know how much your weight's going to, as soon as you take it off the plane, you throw it on your back, you know how much you're going to weigh. There may be some other knowable factors that I left out there, but there's a lot more unknowable factors. Weather's going to be an unknowable factor. Falls, I mean, that's the #1 killer in the backcountry, right? Falls. Just unexpected falls, rock slides, snowshoes, those types of things. Food shortages. Are you going to be fogged in for 4 extra days and run out of food? Okay. Are the water sources that you were counting on, are they going to be dried up? It happens. That happens, right? Etc. There's a ton of unknowable factors out there. So that's what sheep shape is. You have to be prepared for anything. Okay? So general physical preparation. You want to be efficient in all areas of fitness. Okay? I went to school for 9 years, you guys. 9 years. All fitness-based. Kinesiology, exercise physiology, all of it. And not one time in those 9 years was it drawn out to me, this is what fit is. There was always a big argument, is the Ironman, the people who win Ironman, are they the fittest people on the planet? Well, what about the powerlifters? I mean, there's some guys out there that can deadlift like thousands of pounds. Are they the fittest guys on the planet? Because they're the strongest. So what would constitute fit? Well, fit in the hunting world is endurance, stamina, strength, power, balance, agility, flexibility, coordination, accuracy. Obviously, as hunters, when we think of accuracy, we think of being able to shoot accurate. In this sense, accuracy means if I have to jump across the creek, I can jump to a certain rock and hit my foot on it and not twist my ankle. That's accuracy in this sense. So let's break these down. Let's break them down. Endurance and stamina. What do you use endurance and stamina for? Hiking miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. Okay? That's what you use endurance and stamina for. The more fit you are in this area, the more heightened your senses are going to be for a longer period of time. So there's a lot of guys, I would say, would it be safe to say probably 70% of the hunting community probably are tree stand whitetail hunters? You know, I mean, they don't have to hike for miles and miles and miles and miles. You guys are kind of an elite group out there hunting sheep in these, you guys are crazy people, right? Going out chasing sheep around these Rocky Mountains. But if you have good endurance, good stamina, you're going to be able to sit for a lot longer too. Just be more patient. Your senses are going to be heightened for a longer period of time. And then again, you're going to be able to hunt as hard on the last day as you did on the first, which is a really big deal. Power and strength. Notice in the picture, that's my brother. He's picking the pack up and putting it on my dad's back. Okay. Now, how many people here, by show of hands please, have done a deadlift in the last month? A deadlift. Just pick something up and stood up. One guy? 2 guys? Okay, so 2 people. Has anybody picked up their grandkid or their kid, or picked up a bag of groceries, or, okay, deadlifting has it has an intimidation factor, because when we think of deadlifting, we think of these giant guys with belts on, okay, that have 9,000 pounds on a bar, and they're lifting it up and screaming and turning red in their face, and you're sure they're going to pop and stand up and then drop, and everybody's scared because they're going to hurt their back, right? Everybody, man, I'm not going to do deadlifts. I'm not going to do power cleans. I'm not trying to be a football player. I'm not trying to be a professional athlete. I just want to get in shape so I can go hunt. Well, what do you think picking a pack up is? Picking a pack up and putting it on my back. What kind of movement does that look like? A clean? A deadlift? If you don't train your body to be efficient in movements, like the deadlift, okay? You risk injury in the backcountry. Power is a big part of moving your pack, getting meat up so that you can put it in your bag. Okay? If you don't train that explosive movement properly, with proper form, you risk getting injured. And nobody can risk getting injured. I don't know, we're a long ways from civilization right there. Yeah?
Just picking up a 40-pound bag of salt pellets count?
That counts every day.
Okay.
I always use the analogy. I got to teach my grandma how to deadlift, because if grandma has groceries and she walks up to her front door and her door's locked, and she has to set her groceries down and unlock her door and then pick them up, and she gets hurt, guess what? It's because I didn't teach grandma how to straighten her back, lift her groceries so she doesn't get hurt. So power's a big part of the backcountry. Strength, we're talking about relative strength here now, okay? The ultramarathoners, the winners of the Ironman, these big endurance races, man, my hat is off to those guys. It takes a lot of discipline and to do those types of races. My question is always going to be, would I want that person would I rely on that person to try and pack me out of the bottom of the canyon to get home to my little boy? Maybe not. Not if he hasn't done any strength training or power training. Okay, so packing out an injured partner. Obviously, it's worst case scenario, but it happens, you guys. So prepare for the worst. These are big ones. These are different than strength and power, endurance and stamina. Okay? And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you how. These are neurological. These are nervous system training. This is nervous system training. Okay? Balance, agility, coordination, flexibility, accuracy. These are always going to come into play if you're having to negotiate a rock site. Anybody here ever gone up a rock chute that went, wow, this is going to be sketchy? Yeah, right? If you've been out there enough and there's rock faces, if that sheep is right over on the other side of this, you're not going to go. I'll just get the next one. No, you just came up the hill probably 3,000 feet. You're like, I'm not going to turn back now. But if you haven't practiced your balance, your coordination, agility, flexibility, accuracy, you could get, boom, run right into a roadblock. Okay? So, over and under objects, quickly get in position to make a shot. These are things that need to be practiced. They need to be practiced. Okay? The last thing you want to do is be faced with a situation that you've never been in before. Okay? Which really is, and this would be a good time to bring up mental toughness. Okay, where's mental toughness fit into this? Because I know, man, you got to be mentally tough to be able to endure some of the obstacles that you're going to face out hunting. Okay? Mental toughness comes from being prepared. Okay? If you've been there, done that, know that you're physically capable of doing that, because I have come up against that wall and I pushed it in a safe environment, in my practice environment, and I made it. I did it.